Welcome to This Explainer. Every single day, over 2 billion people worldwide reheat their leftovers. We all just kind of assume that if we blast our food with heat, it automatically makes it safe to eat, right? Well, what if that assumption is dangerously wrong? Today, we're diving into this genuinely shocking premise that reheating perfectly healthy food can actually completely inadvertently create serious invisible health risks. We're going to break down the exact biochemistry of what's happening right there in your kitchen, and most importantly, how you can protect yourself. Let's get into it. Okay, let's start with a really staggering statistic. 1 in 6. According to clinical data published in top oncology journals, 1 in 6 cancer cases globally is linked to dietary factors. And listen, this doesn't just mean eating junk food or processed stuff. It actually includes how we store, how we handle, and crucially, how we reheat our everyday meals. In fact, to put that into perspective, a poor diet is now considered the second largest preventable cancer risk factor in the entire world, right behind smoking. But here is the most terrifying part of all this. This threat, it is completely silent and totally invisible. When you pop certain everyday foods into the microwave for a second round of high heat, these harmful chemical reactions happen without a sound. You can't see them, you can't smell them, and we aren't talking about a mild stomachache or a quick bout of food poisoning here. No, we are talking about carcinogenic compounds that slowly accumulate in your body over months and years. They cause cellular damage without giving you any immediate signs of illness until, well, it's incredibly difficult to reverse. So to unpack how this actually works, we're looking at the clinical research of Dr. William Li. He spent over 15 years studying the precise intersection of nutritional biochemistry, food science, and preventative oncology. So he really knows his stuff. Based on his review of hundreds of peer-reviewed papers, the danger basically boils down to what we call toxic reheating reactions. When food molecules are reheated, 3 core mechanisms happen. First, there's lipid peroxidation, which is essentially where fats break down into DNA-damaging compounds. Second, a runaway Maillard reaction, which generates advanced glycation end products, or AGEs, and those promote chronic inflammation. And third, the conversion of natural nitrates into highly carcinogenic nitrosamines.
All right, food number 1, cooked rice.
Over 3 billion people rely on rice as their primary calorie source, right? And we reheat it all the time. But the danger actually begins while it's just sitting there, cooling down on your kitchen counter, right after you cook it. In its healthy state, freshly cooked rice is an essential, perfectly safe source of energy. But as it cools down at room temperature, it becomes this perfect breeding ground for a naturally occurring bacteria called Bacillus cereus. This bacteria multiplies and creates toxins, specifically one called cereulide. Now, here's the kicker. When you reheat the rice, the heat might kill the bacteria itself, but it absolutely does not destroy those heat-resistant toxins. They survive the microwave just fine and can literally damage your cellular mitochondria. Plus, repeatedly heating those starches in the rice increases the formation of acrylamide, which the International Agency for Research on Cancer actually classifies as a Group 2A probable carcinogen.
Moving on to food number 2, cooked chicken.
Now, chicken is the ultimate go-to for health-conscious meal preppers, right? It's so common to cook up a massive batch of lean chicken on a Sunday and just reheat it all week long. In its healthy state, freshly cooked chicken is a clean, low-fat protein powerhouse. But when you subject it to a second round of high heat, it triggers some deeply alarming biochemistry. Reheating oxidizes the proteins in the muscle tissue, forming compounds called heterocyclic amines, or HCAs, along with those lipid peroxidation byproducts we mentioned earlier. And HCAs are highly reactive. Once they're metabolized by your liver, they can bind directly to your DNA, potentially causing mutations that actually turn off your body's tumor suppressor genes. In fact, an analysis by the Harvard School of Public Health found that frequently eating reheated cooked chicken is linked to a statistically significant increased risk of colorectal and pancreatic cancers. And that last one has a devastatingly low 5-year survival rate of just 11%. Next up, food number 3, leafy greens. You'd probably think you can literally never go wrong with the side of spinach. But saving it and reheating it poses a major, really widely misunderstood risk. Fresh spinach is packed with natural nitrates, which are fantastic. They powerfully support heart health and help regulate your blood pressure. However, while that leftover cooked spinach is just sitting in your fridge, natural bacteria on the leaves start converting those beneficial nitrates into nitrites. Then, when you blast those nitrates with heat during reheating, they react with amino acids to form nitrosamines. And nitrosamines are recognized by the World Health Organization as Group 1 carcinogens. That is the absolute highest risk category. Epidemiological studies consistently link high exposure to them with an increased risk of stomach, esophageal, and colorectal cancers. It's wild how a superfood can flip like that.
And finally, food number 4, the egg surprise.
This one is probably the most surprising food on the entire list. In its freshly cooked state, an egg is basically nutritionally perfect. It's a complete protein packed with all 9 essential amino acids, choline, selenium, and vital antioxidants like lutein. But when you reheat eggs, especially scrambled or boiled ones, you push them right into a toxic state. The yolk is naturally high in fat and cholesterol, so reheating it rapidly oxidizes that cholesterol into compounds called oxysterols. These oxysterols are genotoxic, which means they are literally toxic to their genetic material and directly cause DNA strand breaks. On top of all that, reheating degrades essential amino acids like cysteine and methionine, causing persistent oxidative stress directly in your gut lining, which is a major early mechanism for developing colorectal cancer. So when we look at this data all together, a really clear scientific pattern emerges. And we're not doing this to be fear-mongering, but just to look at the facts. This summary perfectly illustrates the exact mechanisms for each of these 4 foods. Cooked rice gives us toxin reactivation and acrylamide, leading to mitochondrial damage. Chicken gives us protein oxidation and HCAs, linked to colorectal and pancreatic cancer. Leafy greens create nitrosamines, linked to stomach and esophageal cancer. And eggs result in cholesterol oxidation, forming oxystrols that cause DNA damage. So we have 4 incredible foods, but 4 distinct, scientifically documented mechanisms of harm when they are reheated. So let's talk about safe rules for leftovers. Okay, I know all of that sounds super heavy, but take a deep breath. We are not here to ruin your meal prep or tell you to be terrified of your fridge. The solutions to these chemical threats are incredibly simple, practical, and completely within your control. Here are the universal golden rules for handling any leftovers to safely stop these bacterial and chemical reactions in their tracks. Step 1. Cool your food within 1 hour. Don't let it sit out at room temperature for hours on end. Spread it on a shallow tray and get it into the fridge quickly. Step 2. Eat it within 24 hours. That prevents the prolonged bacterial conversion of those natural compounds. And step 3, this is absolutely crucial, never, ever reheat your food more than once. 1 initial cook, 1 reheat. That is your absolute limit. After that, just toss it out.
The really crucial point here is implementing these specific food handling tips so you know exactly how to protect yourself and your family. If you prep eggs or spinach, eat the leftovers cold. Seriously, do not microwave them. Just slice that cold, hard-boiled egg over a salad instead. For leftover chicken, skip those aggressive microwave hot spots. Instead, use gentle, indirect heat in a low-temperature oven, keeping it under 140 degrees Fahrenheit or 60 degrees Celsius. And honestly, the best strategy of the whole bunch is just to carefully plan and cook smaller portions so you literally don't even have leftovers in the first place. Ultimately, preventative medicine starts with knowledge, right? Preventing these invisible health risks is all about making informed choices. And you now have the science to protect your cellular health right in your very own kitchen. So I want to leave you with a question to think about. Which of these 4 healthy foods surprised you the most? Was it the rice, the chicken, the spinach, or the egg? Think about your own daily habits, and more importantly, think of that friend or family member who meal preps chicken all week or microwaves their leftover spinach every single day. Share this vital explainer with them. They absolutely deserve the right to make informed decisions about their health too. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and as always, stay curious.